Hello and welcome to another episode of James and Chris Science Videos, where today we're going to be looking at arthropods. Previous couple of lessons we've been looking at how to organise living organisms, and we first of all looked at kingdoms, and we saw the differences between the plant, the animal, the fungi, bacteria and the protozoa kingdoms. Now today we're going to choose the animal kingdom. We'll be looking at that kingdom particularly. We then did a second lesson where we looked at the difference between vertebrates and invertebrates, vertebrates having a backbone, invertebrate not having a backbone, and we looked at those classes, and this was last lesson. So last lesson we looked at annelids, arthropods, cnidarians, echinoderms, mollusks and sponges, and we saw the differences between each of those. Today we're going to focus on that arthropod group, and we're going to do what's called the order, which is the next section down, and the different orders of arthropods. So, what is an arthropod? Let's do a definition of what an arthropod is, and they are defined by two things. The two things that are defined by are its jointed legs. The word arthropod literally means jointed legs. Now, there's a picture of a spider with the spider legs there, and you can see clearly the joints in the legs, and the joints are really visible from outside. The second thing that really categorizes arthropods is the existence of an exoskeleton. Now, the word exo means outside, skeleton obviously being the structure that gives them shape. So for arthropods, their skeleton's on the outside, whereas ours is on the inside. We've got an endoskeleton. And there's a picture of a woodlouse that's got a really clearly visible exoskeleton on the outside. Now, I'm going to ask you to try and find in your house an arthropod. Now, these are basically any bugs that you can find in your house. I'm going to go look around and see if I can find a spider, because my house is full of them. So to do this, all you need is a glass and a little bit of bravery, and then go look round your house and spend about 5 minutes. If you can't find one, don't worry, but I want to see if you can find a spider or an earwig or a woodlouse or a ladybird, anything around the house that would fit the description. So come back in 5 minutes and we will look at what you've got. Okay, that didn't take me long. Here we go. This is, hopefully you can see this, a spider taken from our bedroom. Quite nice, isn't he? Look, you see the jointed legs on there. We can see various different parts of the spider that we're going to use to help us identify. So leave your arthropod to the side, because we're going to try and identify them. This will be quite an easy one to identify, as you'll find out in a second. Here are our orders of arthropods. So there are 4 that we need to know about today, and they are insects, arachnids, crustaceans, and myriapods. And I'm going to show you how to identify them, some of the key features. We're going to start off with the insects, but before we do that, it's going to be useful for us to organise ourselves so we can do some notes. And very similar to how we've organised this with some of the other lessons, what I'd like you to do is to put on a piece of paper a grid. And so I'm just watching my spider trying to escape, but he's staying in there. Good. And suddenly, if you see him creep all over me, let me know. So, yes, organise your work into a grid of 4. So we're going to look at insects, arachnids, crustaceans, myriapods. And for this, for each of them, you need to write down what the key characteristics are, the key features that make us know that what we're looking at is either an insect, arachnid, crustacean, or myriapod. And probably give an example, show a picture of an example that demonstrates the key factors. So let's start with insects. Insects have 3 defining features that enable us to work out whether what we've got is an insect. And that is, they have 3 body sections. They have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. I've given 2 examples here. You can see on the ant, the head, the thorax, abdomen are really clearly defined. Sometimes they're not so clearly defined. If you look at a housefly, the head is approximately the same shape as the thorax. They kind of fit together. So sometimes it's not always to see. All insects have 6 legs. It's one of the defining features. 6 legs will equal an insect. Most have wings. Not all of them, but most. Sometimes it's by gender. So ants, the female worker ants, don't have wings. The female queen does. The males do. And you've ever seen Ant Day, where all of a sudden all of the male ants come out to go find the queens, and you just go out to the garden and there are millions of these flying ants around. That is the males going off to find a queen to start a new colony. So those are our 3 sections. And again, that's fairly easy to distinguish. If it has got wings, I should say, it will be an insect. None of the other groups have wings. So wings being a defining part of an insect. So let's have a look at the next one. Arachnids, everyone's favourite group. Everyone loves spiders, don't they? Well, for this, there are, instead of 3 sections, there are 2 sections. The head and thorax are actually fused together. So here on my picture, I think it's a funnel, a Sydney funnel spider I've put on. Really because the 2 sections are really defined. And look at those massive fangs. Anyway, we digress. So 2 body sections. The thorax and head are fused, and the abdomen at the back. They have 8 legs. If it has 8 legs, it will be arachnid. And it includes spiders, which we probably know about, but also scorpions and ticks are also in the same order. Moving on, crustaceans. These have many body segments, but the key bit that really tells us that it's a crustacean is that it has an exoskeleton that is really tough. It's made out of something called chitin. It wears it like armour. So most of the crustaceans live in the sea. The only exception of a crustacean lives on land is the woodlice. So if you've got a woodlouse in your little glass, then you've got a crustacean in there. The last groups are called myriapods. It literally translates as many legs. Myria meaning many, pods meaning legs, same as arthropod meaning jointed legs. 2 main groups of these, of which I'm sure you've seen before. There's centipedes, which literally translated means hundreds of legs. They don't have exactly 100. It's just the name. And millipedes, which literally means thousands of legs. Again, they don't have 1,000 legs. It was just a way of describing. Centipedes are carnivores. They will go around hunting. Millipedes are herbivores. So they will eat dead vegetation and live vegetation. So I want you now to do a task. So hopefully you filled up the grid. You've got a description of each one. You've identified the key features. You've identified, and here we go, here is mine. Clear. Oh, look, he's spun a web already. You've clearly identified he's clearly a spider. You can see the 8 legs, and you can see the 2 body parts. I'm hoping my hand isn't covering it. So the 2 body parts there, and yeah, the 8 legs. So that would definitely be arachnid. Now, I'm going to ask you to imagine you are a god, and you can now design an arthropod that's going to suddenly appear on the planet Earth. You can decide what order it belongs to. It could be an insect, it could be an arachnid, it could be a crustacean, it could be a myriapod. It's completely your choice. But in your design, you have to draw a picture of it, name it, and you're going to have to show the adaptations that you think will help it survive. Include the key characteristics to show that it's an insect or to show it's an arachnid, and so on. Great. Now, once you've done that, we'll quickly do the summary, and then you can disappear and get that done. Summary of arthropods is to identify an arthropod, it's got to have an exoskeleton and clearly jointed legs. You can split arthropods into 4 orders. The 4 orders are insects, arachnids, crustaceans, myriapods. All insects have 3 body parts, 6 legs, most have wings. Arachnids, 2 body parts, 8 legs. Include spiders, ticks, and scorpions. Crustaceans have tough armour on the outside. Think woodlice, crabs, lobsters. Myriapods have many legs, hence centipedes and myriapods. Excellent. Thank you ever so much for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.